Hello, my name is Sadon Smith, and today I am here at Homecoming Book Retake. Hello, my name is Sadon Smith, and today I am here at Homecoming Coffee and Books. In being a member of the National Hookup of Black Women, we create and celebrate people within the community every day of the year. Today, because of Women History Month, we would like to celebrate our own, the authors in our group. I would like to present to you Mrs. Yevette Chapman. Miss Yvette, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Miss Yvette is a lot of things. Starting with, she's the founder of the National Hookup of Black Women's Birmingham chapter. She's a mother, a wife, a community activist, and her newest accomplishment is here, Homecoming Coffee and Books, where she have made it a possible for entrepreneurs to highlight their gifts by handcraft, earrings and clothing, baked goods, and of course, African American authors. So, without further ado, let me introduce our author of 3 books now, Miss Yvette Chapman. Miss Yvette, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Can you please explain to me how in the world do you balance your work life?
Well, I guess now since I'm retired, or supposed to be, that I kind of do the things that I love to do. So in doing that, I can always find time to do the things that I love to do. So I think people call me a community activist. I'm more of a community engager, where I just kind of, I have my hands on friends and people that I've met throughout my other life career, and so I've just stayed in touch with them, and so I've had the opportunity to meet so many wonderful, talented people. So I just try to stay connected to them, and then in that I try to connect them to other people. So that's kind of where I am. I'm more of an engager than I am an activist. Though I do work in the community, but I feel like that it's a part of who I am and what I do, and what we all should be doing is staying connected and loving on one another and trying to share what we've learned, and so that's what I do.
And she does share her knowledge. I must say that. That's how I met Miss Yvette. She was sharing her knowledge. Miss Yvette, can you tell me what encouraged you to be an author as a child?
I think, and we talked about this before, when I was younger, I lived in right outside Chicago, and I used to love to read, and I used to love to wait for the bookmobile to come down our street to bring books. Of course, it was in the 60s, and after the bookmobile would come, the ice cream truck would come. And so I always thought that it was wonderful that these wonderful white folks would bring us books to our neighborhood, and after that we'd have ice cream. So I'd sit on the front porch and I'd read a book, and then I'd eat ice cream. And as I got older and started to look back at it, I thought about, well, really, these were probably some nice white folks, but they were bringing us books because we were not allowed to go inside the library. And so as I worked at the Civil Rights Institute, and I was over curriculum development and going inside schools reading books to students, I found that there were some books about African American children and written by African Americans, but not a whole lot. And there were very few that had information on contemporary people other than Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks for the very young child. So the book They Dared came from that, of me just deciding to highlight, I think it might be 20 African Americans that made a difference, to share with young people so they'll learn about people like Abby Douglas, and authors and different, I think I have Mandela in there, and Reverend Shuttlesworth, who was really important here in the civil rights movement here. So that's how They Dared came about.
Okay, and then you have another book that you just completed, and it is called The Seven Beaded Bangles. I absolutely love this story. It had so many different little stories and lessons inside of it. My daughter and I, and it's based off of Kwanzaa. My daughter and I read it, and we had no knowledge of Kwanzaa, and that's embarrassing, but we didn't. But because Miss Yevette took out the time to write a book, we now know about Kwanzaa and the 7 principles. And I can say that, Miss Yevette, you do live that daily. Can you tell us a little bit about the 7 Beaded Bangles? What created that book?
Well, of course, I belong to the Birmingham Citywide Kwanzaa Committee, but also I have been celebrating Kwanzaa for around 20 years. But I do think it's important for all of us to celebrate the principles of Kwanzaa, especially Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility and unity. You know, it's just important for us to do that, live it within our lives. So that's what that book is about. And you don't have to be embarrassed about knowing about Kwanzaa, because if you don't know, you don't know.
That's right.
But that's why I did it. So I wanted to make sure that I could talk about the program or the celebration of Kwanzaa from beginning to end, when we start with libations all the way to the end of Harambe. Sharing the 7 principles, talking about the symbols. I want to do that, but I also want to have a story in it so that children can see themselves in the story and they can kind of be pulled into it, because it's an educational book, so we'll learn about Kwanzaa. But you know, like I know, that when something relates to you, you can learn better. So that's why I added those stories in.
And you did a beautiful job with your wording, because I could picture every different story that you highlighted in that book. And just being here at Homecoming Coffee and Books is just eye-opening for me, because you're selfless in what you're doing. You're offering an opportunity to entrepreneurs that otherwise some of them could not have. You have the overhead, but you still are allowing them expression space. And because of that, I think that is awesome. And thank you for what you're doing as an author. What can we expect from you next?
Well, this is, and I think because I post on Facebook a lot, I think I've been hearing they say, well, you have a very large space, because of the pictures. It's a very small space. And I kind of look at it as kind of sitting around in your grandma's kitchen, you know, when you go home and to celebrate, and all your folks come in and they're sitting around grandma's kitchen and they're telling stories, and it doesn't matter, you can go every Christmas or every Thanksgiving and them same folks could be there, and you laugh about the same thing from year to year.
Every time.
Every time. I mean, it gets funnier every time you tell it. So that's what I look at as this space, as being a space where those stories can be told and retold. That the authors here can tell their stories, they can have a voice, they can leave their legacy. They can share stories for other people to learn about our culture, our community, and their personal lives. So really, that's really what I want to get from this story, is that giving people a voice. And I don't want to say a voice to the voiceless, because we all are very important. But just having a space where people can share their stories, and then people can come and read, also to come and talk and sip coffee. I love plants, so I have plants here, so it's a lot of things all the things that I enjoy, I'm trying to share with other folks as well.
And we would thank you, because for me, I have not had that type of exposure. So I would like to thank you for what you're doing here and also in the community. You are very impactful in the community. You, and for you guys that don't know, Miss Yevette is all over the place helping and motivating people. And that's why I wanted the opportunity to highlight Miss Yevette for Women's History Month as an author, as well as so many other things, as well as so many other things that she has done. So, Ms. Yevette, thank you for this opportunity to be able to get to know you a little bit better and share you with the world and the wonderful things that you are doing here in West Birmingham. Thank you for the knowledge that you are giving us, as well as out in the community.
Well, thank you for wanting to interview me, I really am honored. It really is humbling because when you do what you love, and if you, I always say, and I said it before, that I really do love people. And I like to be around people, and I like to make sure that I'm learning from them as they should, like they're learning from me. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Well, again, if you guys want to purchase her books, you will see them at the bottom of the screen. You can check them out from at Amazon and also here at Homecoming Coffee and Books.
Good.